I'm here in Duluth, right outside the factory where they make the Duluth Packs themselves, right over my shoulder. Started back in like 1911. They were a tent and awning store, and it's evolved through time to what you're used to using Duluth Packs today out in the Boundary Waters. We're gonna head inside and see if they can show us around and maybe show us the process of actually making a pack. When an order comes in for a pack, they will lay out up to 20 layers of canvas. On top of that, they will spread out the template for that pack. Each section of the pack has its own template piece, the main body, and the sides and the pockets. They then mark this out so that they can cut through all the layers at once. After they have finished tracing the outside edges, they go through and mark where the leather reinforcements will go. They continue this process with each section of the pack. Once they are finished with the markings, they go through with a drill and drill through on each of the leather reinforcement holes. They then use a specialized cutter that is able to cut through all 20 layers of canvas. Once they are finished cutting, they take the components of each pack and put them together, kind of like a bundle. The final step before sending things over to the sewers is to apply the Duluth Pack stamp. Hey, we're here at the Duluth Pack store, actually where they make the packs themselves, and I'm here with Diane, and she's going to show us, they're working on the Northwoods pack, and she's going to show us the process they go through for sewing and getting it all laid out and stitched together. So Diane, kind of talk to us about what you've done so far with this piece.
Well, so far I have just made a couple markings where I like to put my reinforcement on. When I get it from cutting, they already have this line. I have to draw another line that's 8 inches from that one. And I sew on our reinforcement. And the one thing that we do have on our reinforcements are our string that I have to slide in. I'm going to bind around. This is the only pack that we have that we bind. This is probably the oldest machine you've ever saw. Okay. This is our grommet machine. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to end up grommeting there. And for extra reinforcement, I use a leather piece behind it. So it's less apt to be pulled out. Going back to my sewing machine. Try to, at the beginning and ending of our stitches, to double.
Back and forth?
Back and forth. Well, to tap. Yeah. Or in this case, I run back over the hole for reinforcements because there is a lot of pressure points. Now I'm going to sew on my pocket. Being I folded my line already, so I know where it goes. on any of our products, we put our tags in. That says it's handcrafted by Diane. And in any one of our products, you will see that by whoever's storing it with our Made in USA tag. Next, I'm sewing on the double bottom. I have notches there. For the tump lines. And this is another reinforcement we put on for the back piece for the straps. I'm going to sew on the reinforcement that they put the straps onto. Now I'm going to sew on our Duluth Pack logo. From my end, that I bring it to riveting.
So we got done with the first part of the sewing, and now we're in here. They're going to do some machining and then also put the rivets in. So Brian here is going to take us through the steps. So what do you do when you get a pack in from the sewing area?
Well, the pack will come over, usually comes over in a group of 5 or 10.
Okay.
So it'll come over just like this, so it'll have all the leather sewn on there. Then what I get to do is I get to put all the flaps and all the buckles and all of the rivets into the bag. But what I'm going to do here, we got 3 different color rivets. We got our copper, brass, and nickel. But what I'm doing here is just hand fed, and it's nothing too fancy. It's all leg power. So just lining up my strap there. 2 rivets in each one of these. See it on the back there, kind of mushrooms out, and it's just kind of eyeball it to make sure it's straight there. And these are going to be the buckles that's going to match up with those flaps when the bag is sewn together. A lot of pinching, a lot of eyeballing. But what I'm going to do, so I just take my buckles here, line them up on the leather pieces that the sewer is sewn on there, grab my hammer, pound them down, try to keep my fingers out of the way. Pound these guys down up in there.
And they just go into the wood on the back side,
Yep.
huh?
Just pounds right in. I move on to these 1-inch buckles, and that's going to be to hold the back straps. I want to try to keep these as straight as possible. That's how that'll look, just pounded through. Goes right through the leather into the wood. 3/4 inch here, this is for the pump line. Well, you'll see one of those downstairs. It's actually a band that goes across the head there, so give it a little more support. Try not to hit the knots either. Usually a good thing. So what I'm doing here is I want to line up this stitch here with the edge of the wood. And that's going to make sure that it's somewhat straight. I grab my back straps here. I line them up. Just eyeballing it. Kind of want to make sure that there's the same amount of space on each side of the strap. And then I'll look up here too on the edges to see how far this rivet is away from the edge. And that'll kind of straighten it up. So just pound those down in here. Make sure they stayed straight. I grab my 7-hole strap here. But then what I'm doing with this, guys, I just want to line this up with the edge of the backer, make sure it's straight. I grab my 7/8" rivets here, stuff them in the middle hole and the last two. Just kind of line it up. Make sure it's in place. Pound her down there. You go through and get all those pounded, then we move on to what's called the burring process of it. Then what I'm doing over here is we got our big iron. And then what I'm going to do is I want to take this buckle, make sure this buckle is out of the way because I don't want to pound onto that. So I just kind of flap those out of the way. Take our little burrs here, they're just almost like a little washer. I just stick it right on that rivet. Got our sets here. It's got one hollowed out end and then one rounded end on there. I just want to stick that hollowed end out on top of it. Pound it down. We got our nippers here. I just go down as far as I can on that rivet. Nip it off. Then I'll use my rounded end. Round it off, flatten it a little bit, and then I'll give it one more rounding just to finish it off. It's a little bit tougher because there's more rivets. And when you're pounding on this steel, they tend to want to bounce a little bit, get burrs, so it's kind of tricky to hold them all on there. I got to use my arm. So what I do is I just set these guys on there. On these two. See how they kind of want to bounce around there? Mm-hmm. Just kind of put my arm over them to hold them.
What do you do with the little bits of copper?
Put them in a bucket at the end of the day, and then we'll collect them for a good month or two, and then they'll bring them in and cash them in. Okay. somebody gets the fun job of going through the steel and the copper rivets. I'm not the lucky guy.
To check them or what?
Yeah, they have to go through them and separate the steel from the copper. So. And then once we get all those done, they go right back to the sewer and they finish sewing them up.
These are the pockets that I'm making for on the side of the pack. Right now I'm marking for my, when I go to join the pack together on the sides. This is where I start and finish. I'm putting grommets in for drain holes. Now I just sew the pocket onto the bottom of the side. Now I'm going to start to join the pack. I usually get them back in the big bundles. Match up my marks. And our big heavy packs, we always go around them twice for reinforcement. No, that is how a Northwoods pack is made at Duluth Pack. Incoming!
Well, we're downstairs now at the Duluth Pack factory, I guess, and Dave here takes the packs after they've been finished upstairs and drop down through the chute. And what do you do from here?
I clip all the threads that are loosely on the pack, and then inspect the outside, see if there's any loose threads on the outside. This is the Northwoods. We have a chart, and it tells us what kind of pack. It's 217. And they all get a card that tells what the liner is useful for.
What is the liner useful for?
Keeps your whatever you have inside dry. Or
Alright.
make sure all the buckles are riveted. There's no missing rivets. They're all on the right way. All the rollers are on top. And you'll get a tug line. Some packs we have brass, some is copper. You match up the right rivets. Yeah, this is almost a finished pack. And they go on the shelf, or hopefully they go out right away.
So where does it go from here?
We get the orders, and then I will pick up the order and double check that we get the correct product, correct color, correct size in the boxes. We'll package them up. The orders are then invoiced, so we actually take your money then. And once they're invoiced, we box them up and we will put them, put the labels on them through UPS, or we also send through the post office depending on what country, area of the world we're going to, shipping to, and then they go out the door every day.
And off the top of your head, what are like some of the furthest reaching countries that you know you've been shipping out to?
We have dealers in Japan, and we also have dealers that are in the UK right now. Some days we send to Ireland, some days we send to Singapore. We send just all over the world, so it's kind of neat to see our stuff all over. And even some of our Duluth Pack customers that are avid lovers of our Duluth Pack stuff will send in photos of our products in Russia or in the Antarctic Circle at the research station there. So it's really neat to see where all our stuff goes.
That is very cool. Well, hey, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.